Beautiful friends, beautiful souls, welcome. I hope that you're all doing amazing today. A big warning going out to my friends and family in Florida and your friends and family and friends of our tribe here, because Idalia is absolutely no joke. You do not want to mess with her. She is fierce. She starts blowing in on a date that's actually very significant today, the 29th of a month. I've talked about the numbers 11 and 29 quite often. Not that the storm, even though they say it's supposed to touch ground tomorrow, right after midnight, but there's still some of it blowing in today. I'm going to tell you what that means and why this is going to be such a catastrophic hurricane, along with some shocking evidence today. Shocking evidence of, we talked about weather manipulation in the past, of course, but today I actually have shocking evidence, not only that they can create storms, but more shocking, the evidence that shows that they can actually steer storms in a specific direction. And they've been able to do this all the way back prior to Hurricane Sandy. We all know what happened with Hurricane Sandy. So steering things in the direction they wanted to. Why did DeSantis call a state of emergency? Well, we know why. But why did he pick 33 counties? Why did he pick that number 33? We've talked about the number 33 many, many, many times. Why didn't they pick 32 or 34? Be safe, pick an extra. What is that number all about? I'm going to shed a whole bunch of light on that one for you today. Earthquake activity is starting to ignite and flare up. And a while back, not that long ago, I had a vision and warned our friends in Indonesia of a major earthquake and earthquake activity and the volcanic eruption, a big one. Well, they didn't have the volcanic eruption, but this morning, they were shaken up quite a bit with a 7.1 earthquake that hit the whole Indonesia and the islands of Indonesia. And Spirit says that this is just the start of something much larger that's brewing up. We had 3.6 earthquake in Ohio. Ohio, friends? Ohio. Earthquake? Weird. People say, oh, but it was only a 3.6, but it was an earthquake in Ohio. There was another 3.7 that hit off the coast of California, which Spirit warns that's just a warm-up. A while back, I predicted mass die-offs would occur slowly, and they would start slowly, and they would begin to increase little by little. We're actually seeing that happen, and we're seeing an increase of SDS, sudden death syndrome. And not amongst babies either, because most commonly when you hear of SDS, it's amongst babies. No, most commonly now, it's people in the age of the 60s. Interesting, right? In the 60s. So I'm going to tell you why, and this is actually happening, and what we can expect in the future around that. I had large visions of explosions, many gas, propane, and oil fires. And right now, in Louisiana, there's the Marathon oil fire that's burning. While a fueling station in Romania completely blew up, injuring dozens. Is this an attack specifically on the oil industry to push the green agenda and to push that? Likely could be. But I'm also going to tell you there's a warning for people who have gas in their homes that you're going to want to hear if you have gas in your home. Not that they're going to take it away, but a warning of safety for you today. Not long ago, I had a vision of a plane exploding. I had a lot of visions of different plane incidents taking place. One of them was a plane exploding in the sky. Because I remember, and some of you may remember the comments of people, oh, I got to travel, am I going to be okay? And I said it would be over Europe, likely somewhere over in Europe. Well, not only did we see that happen, I also warned, of course, of people being taken out, especially political people heading towards political leadership or in leadership being completely ousted, right? Completely taken out. So we have a combination of both those things that just happened. The taking somebody out and the plane that exploded. So now you can be safe traveling and not worry, friends. You should not worry anyway. You should always know that you're safe and taken care of by universe. But both these visions came together with the alleged plane crash of Prigozhin, a Russian dude over there. So was this obviously what really happened here? I certainly know what happened here. And I'm sure you probably know what happened here too. India lands on the moon, right? India lands their little spaceship on the moon. While Italy is banning lab-grown meat. Go Italiano is what I say to that. While Mr. G, Gates himself, just launched MOSIP, or MOSIP. the global digital ID system. All while the walls are closing in on the Biden administration here in the United States and on the Trudeau administration up there in Canada as well. The energy shift and the full moon's blowing in tomorrow, and it's gonna be intense, friends. Intense. So we're gonna talk about this and a whole lot more today as we discuss Tittle Tuesdays predictions updates, episode number 80 here on YT, episode number 3 on Spotify. Be sure to download your free Spotify app today, where you can find Spiritman JT under... Beautiful friends, beautiful souls, again, I welcome you. Satnam. I hope that you're all doing amazing today. I welcome you to my channel. I welcome you back to my channel. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT. I come with full love in my heart for all of you beautiful souls today. If you're new here, you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, you found the perfect tribe, baby. Smash that subscribe. Thank all y'all that take that millisecond to click that love button, the like button. But I call it the love button because it shows your love, and I appreciate your love. Down below in the links, you'll find a link to my newsletter. My newsletter goes out a couple times a month where you can find any content that you may have missed, inspirational messages, upcoming classes, special offers, and so forth. Check that out. Also, again, find me on Spotify tomorrow on the 30th. Here in the northern hemisphere, but those on this side of the planet, I should say. On the other side of the planet, that would be the 31st. But tomorrow evening will be my September prediction premiere video. Most importantly, is tomorrow night will be the global healing meditation. Very powerful, very amazing. You don't have to be there to do it live tomorrow. You can do that meditation anytime, but it's airing 13 minutes before the full moon comes into play. This full moon coming up, my friends, is the energy shift. And it's also a super full moon. It's also the second full moon that we had in the month of August. So all kinds of interesting things that this is going to heighten this whole moon cycle. That's why I Spirit picked tomorrow's full moon to do this powerful meditation. So to reap the best benefits from it, do it with me live. It's 6:22 we start, and I talk a bit in the beginning so that we are in meditation when the moon goes full at 6:35 p.m. Pacific time, 9:35 p.m. Eastern time. So you're going to want to tune in 22 minutes after the hour and check out the global healing. Not only are you going to be doing healing and clearing of stuff personal and on the personal level, but you're going to be helping the planet Earth too by encompassing healing and love to the Earth. And we need you. We need you. The more we have, the better. So let's move forward with the energy shift that's happening right now. Well, I mean, I could feel it now. It's not happening yet, but it will be happening in another, 30 hours? Not 30 hours, actually. 30 and a half hours is when we kick into the full moon energy shift. Full moon that's going to be super intense, and I will talk more about all the alignments for September, astrological, numerological, and all that in my September prediction video premiering tomorrow. But until then, I do tell you, and I've been telling you, that energy shifts happen when we are in the direct retrograde energy. And there's the full moon. And it's a tsunami wave of energy that comes wiping in on our planet. It's an amazing thing. But, some people ride that wave better than others. Because some people are better at surfing than other people are better at surfing. Keeping your energy grounded, keeping yourself centered, keeping yourself in a good state of mind is going to be the best for helping you to achieve, reaching the beach on your surfboard with the palm trees. You don't want to fall off that surfboard and drown. So this is really huge. This is really important because also September, we're moving into the 7 vibration. 7 vibration in a 7 year. Sorry, I had a brain freeze for a moment there. In a 7 year. Which again, I talk more about in my September predictions. But I just wanted to warn you all, if you're feeling a little more emotional. Today I felt an energy boost actually. So it does that sometimes, the full moon, and then I won't be able to sleep. It's like an energy boost. It affects everybody differently again. But if you're feeling a boost of energy, utilize that. because that also has to do with some astrological stuff and the Mercury retrograde that's boosting your energy to help you declutter things, to let go of things, to clear things. You can start that now. Retrograde's all about that. But so is the full moon and the waning moon that we step into tomorrow. So take advantage of this time period. Know that emotions are going to come up. You also may notice a lot of the past is coming up as well. You may be having reflections of the past. And this is also that we can, change the narrative and clear things that no longer serve us. So let's move on to the most important topic of today. And I begin with a very, very serious warning to our friends and my family that are out there in Florida. Florida, y'all. Not just in Florida, though, but also Georgia, the Carolinas, and all along the East Coast of the United States, because Idalia is wicked. She is bitter. She is nasty, and she vibrates in a 9 vibration when it comes to numerology. Now, I did weather predictions, a while back in May. She wasn't one on my big scope, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment, but she was definitely on the scope as being a 9 vibration. The last 9 we had was, what was her name? It'll pop up in a minute. 9 vibration is all about endings. The 9 vibration's all about getting rid of, clearing things, and it's also related to, endings and destruction as well. So, her touching land and being a 9 vibration, just that in itself shows that she's going to be fierce, baby. And not only that, they're probably feeding her some fuel too, which I'm going to show you some shocking evidence of in a few minutes. So not only that, but the 9 vibration, she's also coming, and some of the storms from the edge of the storm are blowing in now, today. I think somewhere like Tampa or something like that I just read or heard. So the 29th, the day we're in, the 29th of a month, the 29 is an 11 day. 9 plus 2 is an 11. You always break down, add the numbers together until you actually come up with a single digit. But when you come up with the number 11, 22, or 33, you always pay attention to that. And you break it down again, too. So, it also, an 11 breaks down to a 2. So there's a 2 influence, of course, to the 11. But 11, 22, 33 are master numbers. Every major storm that comes in on those days is always catastrophic. Hurricane Katrina came in on an 11 on the 29th of the month, or the 11th, or whatever the date was. Hurricane Sandy came in on October 29th, an 11 day. I put a warning out all over Facebook and everything back in the day, telling people that she's gonna slam into the coast, and people were like, "No, she's not. She's going up the coast." Remember, they lied about that. Well, they didn't lie. They used the steering wheel to steer it right in the direction they want it to go in. So I would expect extreme flash flooding beginning today and this evening. And if Idalia happens to speed up a little bit and hits the edge of that big eye, that wall the storm hits land before midnight, then she's going to be fierce, even more fierce. Maybe even moving up to like category 5. Remember, I did have visions of category 5 hurricanes. I don't believe that she's it. I believe there's, without a doubt, more to come. But it's going to be a superstorm. It's already a big, huge, massive storm, right? That 29 instantly will turn it into a superstorm. Massive superstorm, instantly. And don't be surprised at all to see her blow off course. It was Hurricane Fiona. That was what it was. The last significant hurricane that I looked only briefly that I could find that vibrated in the 9 vibration was Hurricane Fiona. If you remember what she did. So back to my May weather predictions video. In one of my visions, I stated the following. This comes from my May predictions video. One vision I have of a storm heading somewhat towards the Florida Keys, Miami, and the East Coast. Except Spirit gives me a strong feeling that this storm is out of whack or out of balance and can easily be manipulated so that the storm slams directly into Florida, bringing about massive disaster. That's from my May, I think it was May 5th. But May weather predictions video is where that came from. We're seeing that. And I have no doubt that she was fed energy, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But so could this storm be what I was seeing back then in May? Could this be it? Every time I move, everything shakes in this room. Sorry, everything. Camera, everything shakes. The plant behind me, which some people thought was alive. Well, I mean, it is alive. I got that from one of my students. Wonderful person. But anyway, Idalia, going back to Idalia, I recall another vision of a massive hurricane that would be even larger. Idalia is expected to reach a category 4, but therefore I believe there's much more to come just based on that. Because in my past visions, I was seeing a storm unlike anything I've ever seen in visions before. So unless they feed her enough fuel to go up to that level by the time she hits land, but I don't think so. I have no doubt that there's more to come. September predictions video, remember, premiering tomorrow. I'll tell you a lot more about that. But I would tell you all right now to watch Idalia extremely closely. For if she reaches again that category 5 level, or more so, she hits the edge of the Florida by midnight. It's going to be bad, really bad. But I also have this feeling that she may go in a completely different direction than the models are telling us and what they're showing us. Again, maybe purposely steered right up the East Coast. But I felt for a while that Florida was going to be pounded. Remember, I've been warning Florida for a while, all the way back to my January predictions. And in Florida, I've been warning Florida. And not only that, this odd feeling that I had that Florida was a targeted state like Texas. We know about the freeze out that happened in Texas a couple years ago. Targeted states, especially, I don't know why they would target DeSantis exactly because of that whole 33 thing going on, which I'll talk about in a moment. But anyway, yeah, so more so this thing going directly up the East Coast wouldn't surprise me at all. Not that it'll end up being tropical storm by the time it gets to that point, but don't be surprised. Watch this storm very closely just because of the vision I read you from back in May of something suddenly turning. Now, that kind of reminded me more like Hurricane Sandy, suddenly making a turn. So, and again, I believe without a doubt there's much more to come. And some of this has to do with what I've said in the past, weather warfare. But they're going to be pounded along with the whole Gulf of Mexico coming up in the future, not just now, but after Idalia. And I have felt, like I said, that Florida is targeted by the evildoers. So therefore, this storm in itself could have been manufactured, according to my visions back in May. This could be the one that was. I think yes and no to that question. I don't feel like this is the big manufactured one, but I have no doubt that it was, created in a manufacturing company. Maybe a manufacturing company in China, perhaps. I don't know, but definitely a manufacturing company. Here's a few interesting, somewhat shocking evidence that I just found, and a picture that I'm going to show you in a moment that shows a photo of a plane going following a specific path around the storm before it turned into a hurricane. I discovered this actually from MB333, or Mr. MBB3, Mr. MBB333. Does great stuff on Sky Stuff. Check him out. But I saw it on his channel, and I was actually shocked and surprised that he didn't mention what I'm about to mention to you. And I know you all will see it right away. Right away, you'll instantly see it when I put it up there. I was just surprised that he didn't show this. So now, yes, it could very likely be that this was a weather plane that was taking measurements of the storm and such. No doubt that that's probably exactly the case. But it feels a little shady and feels like there's much more to this than it appears. It actually, to me, appears to be quite satanic, if I wouldn't say so myself. So here's the picture. There's the flight path. I don't know what these colors are over here, why on the right side there's different colors, but do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? I can't sing. Failed my singing lessons. Right there, friends, upside down. Right there, clear as day. The upside down star, the upside down pentacle, which represents, of course, it is very satanic of origin. It's an upside down with it looks literally like a goat. Almost looks like a goat inside of a triangle. If you look at that really closely, it looks like a goat. To the one on the left, too, and the green looks a lot better. But it looks kind of like the head of a goat. And that's exactly it, my friends. That's exactly the symbol, of course, of the Satanic Church. They take everything good and they turn it upside down. They flip everything. So they take the cross. They flip it upside down, right? But they also take the pentacle and they flip that upside down. Because I would wear a pentacle. I have one actually protecting my backyard, big one, made out of steel. 1 point up, which was actually originally drawn or artistically by Leonardo da Vinci. And it is a man or a woman standing with their arms out, their feet slightly apart, the head, of course, being the point of the star, representing the 5 elements of earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, and the circle of life that surrounds us. That's the circle around it. They flip it around. They flip it upside down so that there's 2 points up, just like you see in this photograph, in this flight pattern, 2 points up, and they put the goat's head in there. I'm just saying, I just thought it was pretty shocking, friends, pretty interesting. There's no coincidences, you know that. Absolutely no coincidences. To me, some people might say, yeah, they did some kind of satanic ritual over top of that there storm. Remember, that was before the storm turned into a hurricane, which makes it even shadier. There again, it could just be, again, a weather plane taking measurements. Could be both. Just saying. No coincidences. Everything is put right in front of our faces. Maybe they wanted us to see this to let us know indirectly that they're doing these things. Because, they have to put everything in our faces, as I've told you in the past. That's part of the universal law. Whether they do it in a movie, whether they do it through music, song, or whatever, but they have to put it, the Illuminati card's creepiest of all. So going back, now let me know what you think down below in the comments. I want to know what you think. You all know exactly what I think and what I believe. A ritual of some sort was taking place in the skies above Idalia before she became Idalia. Before she reached hurricane status. Now I want you to look at this video clip. This is where it gets just a little creepier. Not creepy. Yeah, I wouldn't say creepy. The star thing was creepy. But what I'm about to show you in this clip that I'm about to show you is creepy in the sense that somebody created technology like this. Like, what the heck's wrong with people? What would make you think that that's a good idea? Even though they try to tell us, oh, they did it for the good. They're doing this for the good of all, right? But I want you to watch this video. It comes from the Reese Report. I showed you clips of the Reese Report before. You can look up the whole video yourself online. This clearly shows that this technology not only exists, but it also has existed for a very, very long time. And not only that, it's been used before, again and again, to bring about, of course, droughts in areas on purpose, while steering storms into the coastlines like Hurricane Sandy, bringing about, earthquakes like the ones in Turkey or Christchurch, New Zealand, all in the name, all in the name of fear, of course, and instilling fear, but really all in the name of a changing globe, changing climate, if you know what I mean. So, to go green, the Go Green agenda, which will make, of course, a lot of people don't realize this will make billionaires trillionaires. Just saying. That's the whole point. Check out this video clip and let me know what you think down below in the comments.
In 2008, articles were published on how scientists were learning how to steer hurricanes by injecting heat into the upper atmosphere. The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, otherwise known as HAARP, jointly funded by the U.S. military and DARPA, is used to excite a limited area of the ionosphere using microwaves that produce high levels of heat. On October 27, 2012, Hurricane Sandy weakened to a tropical storm. Microwave imagery shows a thick red beam was then directed at Hurricane Sandy. Immediately following the red beam, Sandy is strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane and takes the mysterious left turn into New Jersey. In 2016, former director of the CIA, John Brennan, spoke of the real threat of weather modification technology.
Sorry, this might be somewhat shocking to some folks, but what would make one believe they could not have already mastered this technology to control the weather by now? We have video going back and clips going back to the 1950s of certain people saying, control the weather, you control the world. Especially with technologies nowadays and the technology that we have now that we already know of. But imagine what we don't know about, what they're not telling us about. Kind of like the dues that we talked about a lot in the past couple weeks. They have it. I showed you the video evidence of it. You can go right to their website and watch their creepy video about it. Like they brag about it in the video. They show you it igniting something on fire. It's kind of fascinating to me. But I'm going to show you all a small clip of John Brennan really quick and literally admitting that our government and the CIA are literally spraying chemicals in the skies. And it's not conspiracy. They just want people to believe it's conspiracy, even though they admit to it. This is the funniest thing of it all. And I'm only going to show a short clip. I showed it before, but I just want you to see this.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI. A method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations.
So this has been happening right beneath our noses, the noses that are breathing in those heavy metals and toxicity. And again, imagine what they can do that we don't have any evidence of at this point in time. At least for now. That's what Spirit told me earlier. At least for now, you don't have that evidence of the technology they have. But that evidence will arise in the future. Back to Idalia for a moment, and my warning to our friends and family in Florida and along the East Coast. Again, batten down the hatches, friends. Get that boat anchored in, because this wench is fierce. She is fierce. And she is going to be intense and probably gain even more power before it fully hits. I had visions of homes. It's going to be, again, a complete disaster. But I had visions of homes, literally in buildings being washed right off the beach. I saw a boat or a ship or both getting caught in the whirl of the storm. And it did not look or feel good for these people in this boat, whatever this incident is, which may align with past predictions I had about boats about a month or so ago. But I saw that vision today, so I put it out separately to you now. Missing people related to boating and fishermen. It does not look good again for them, but major rescues, mostly rescues of the less than smart folks who do not heed the warning in the evacuations, which I say you shouldn't rescue them. If they don't heed the warning, and I know some people are in situations where they can't really do anything. You got to batten down the hatches and sweat out the storm. You know, in my case, like with my very old dog, I'd be like, I'll batten down the hatches and stay put right here. In the case of a hurricane, I've been through enough of them in my life. So it's not that, it's a big deal, but especially if you're right next to the water. Not good at all. So what is up with DeSantis calling a state of emergency initially for 33 counties? As you may or may not be aware, that number is the number related to Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior. It was the age that Jesus was allegedly crucified on the cross. The 33 is a master number used in numerology, and of course it's a number in numerology that's cherished by the Freemasons and Illuminati people. It's a big number. Look, their initiations at 33 levels, 33 and a half, but still 33. And in Florida, there's 67 counties in Florida. Why pick 33? Not 32, not 34, but 33. Is DeSantis trying to get votes from his friends at the Freemason Society? Or perhaps he's showing us that he is one? And so I just thought that was really interesting when I saw that this morning in the newspaper. I was like, oh, interesting. They're putting out that 33, which again confirms the upside down pentacle that I showed you in the image, the satellite image. That was the word I was looking for. And so I just thought that was really, really interesting. Now, not that it means anything. I'm just saying that it's interesting. Usually everything means something. But, maybe that's also his warning that he knows what's coming. Again, I don't trust any leader at all whatsoever. And Idalia is going to bring, of course, major flooding, not just to Florida, but to Georgia. And I saw problems along the coast of the Carolinas as well. Major power outages, and Spirit showed me that one grid's going to be hit so hard that it's going to cause power outages to last several weeks. Of course, the current administration in the United States will once again ignore this tragedy, even though they'll send billions of dollars to UKR, while leaving DeSantis and Floridians to fend for themselves. Although, don't be shocked at all to see the administration instantly help their friends in Georgia. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised at all. But anyway, several weeks ago, of course, the Biden administration will once again ignore this tragedy. I guarantee you. They'll send billions over to the UKR, unfortunately. Why? Look at the poor folks in Hawaii. Like, I'm sorry, but if I was the president, I'd be like, we're not sending that money to UKR. We're sending it to Hawaii and rebuilding for them. Free of charge. That's what you should be doing. Midwest Power Company just warned recently of coming outages. This would likely align with my past predictions of major power outages. Midwest, California, Oklahoma, northern Texas. Not only that, tornadoes. That's another thing I forgot to put in my note here. Hurricane tornadoes. Big hurricane tornadoes. At least 3 touching ground in Florida. Maybe even Georgia as well. Big tornado activity is what Spirit shows me. But I see 3 together, so I'm going to say 3 happening at the same time or in the same vicinity. Because it's the vision. It's like kind of like 2 here and 1 over here is how Spirit shows it to me. So yeah, anything else? So storm tornadoes, but not even just from this hurricane, Idalia tornadoes, but other systems that are going to develop over the next week that are going to bring tornadoes throughout parts of the United States. But also, I see a tornado, and I don't know when this is coming, but they're showing me a tornado in California that's quite significant, is what Spirit just said. Interesting. That's not my notes either. So Spirit just said that. And I want to remind you, too, that Hurricane Katrina happened in a 7 universal year in numerology. 2023 just so happens to be a 7 universal year in numerology. Not, and I tracked history of storms to see if there were certain years or vibrations where they were more common. Didn't really notice any significant pattern there, but that did come to mind when I was doing the numerology. And Hurricane Katrina was an 11 vibration. So I'm also going to warn you, as I did in my weather prediction video, to look out for Margot and Nigel when they develop in the future. They're the 2 to look out for. The reason being, 2 reasons, couple reasons actually. They're both 11 vibrational storms for starters. They're also back-to-back storms, 2 11s back-to-back. And remember, I just told you about master numbers 11, 22, 33. So 2 storms that are in 11 back-to-back, perhaps fulfilling my vision of 2 storms coming together as one, which would make that a 22 storm, which would be even crazier. That would be insane. But I would be willing to bet, if not both of those storms, one of them is going to be quite catastrophe, especially depending on the date that it comes to. We always got to look at the dates of things. But I wanted to remind you of that. And I don't want to go too much into more predictions other than a few things here and there, but because September predictions are coming out tomorrow. And I will actually be doing channeled predictions because that was quite popular last month or this month, August. So I will be doing another one over the next couple of days. I'll be doing the meditation. I'm hoping to do it actually tomorrow night. I'm hoping to do the meditation. I'll edit the video and I'll have that out for you next week. The goal is Monday. If not next Monday, definitely next Wednesday. Keep an eye out for that. Really important. Thank you again for clicking that like button, showing a little bit of your love or a whole lot of your love. So, channel predictions. Oh, here's another thing I said in my May predictions. not May predictions, my weather predictions that I did in May. Late August into September and October will bring about some of the most significant weather events and earthquakes, aside from the large earthquake that already hit in Turkey a few months ago. So, this was back in May. We're in late August now. We're going into September, and of course, followed by October, and we are seeing this huge storm coming in already. So, and it's the first one. Remember, and then predictions, I said late August, September, and October. So we're hit late August, no doubt it's happening. Not just here, but globally. There's massive storms and things happening all over the globe. All over the globe. So all morning today, I've had this really weird feeling like everything was wobbly and I was wobbling. Like a weeble wobble, but they don't fall down. Remember weeble wobbles? I used to love them when I was a little ankle biter. Anyway, I had this weird feeling like the earth was wobbling underneath of me, like a shaking beneath me. Perhaps, there could likely be a small earthquake in Arizona, hence the reason I'm feeling it here. But I know the earth wasn't wobbling or shaking beneath me. It was just the energetic feeling that I had. But at the same time, we can take this as a large quake. Massive quake that's going to be felt from a very far distance. That could be it too. So like even an earthquake not happening in Arizona, say California, but we feel it here in Arizona, just as an example. It's a good example because, California is on the edge of something major. Other than that, there would be, it would have to be large. It would have to be really large in order for us to feel it. So perhaps a shallow quake coming in the next week. Perhaps more likely in the next few days, the next week at the most, but maybe the next few days because of the full moon and the energy that's coming up. I would warn you that tomorrow's full moon, which begins the energy shift, as I stated earlier, may be a day to expect something major happen, a major shaking, literally coming both literally in the way of a major earthquake, but also, of course, metaphorically. Because as you know, Spirit sometimes gives me things and they're metaphorical and we have to interpret them. So in that aspect, perhaps it's also Spirit showing us that there's going to be a big shakedown of our planet. In the United States especially, which begins tomorrow on the full moon. Not long ago, I predicted that there would be an earthquake off the coast of Indonesia. Panic just struck Indonesia and the Indonesia surrounding islands just this morning. Bring this up. Bring it up. 7.1 magnitude earthquake strikes Indonesia, Bali, the Java Islands, causing panic across the country. A powerful and too strong aftershocks rocked Indonesia's resort island of Bali and other parts of the country early Tuesday, causing panic, but no immediate reports of damage or casualties. Well, thank the Lord for that. Hallelujah. The U.S. Geological Survey said that the quake was primarily the magnitude. I hate when these ads pop up. Oh, that drives me crazy. All right, enough with that website. Enough with that ad. But you get the point, right? Now we also had a 3.7 earthquake that just hit off the coast of California out in the Pacific, and I predicted that there'd be big earthquakes that would occur out at the Pacific. That wasn't so big, but it's still significant. And this is what Spirit tells me is a warning that the tectonic plates are just now warming up. That whole ring of fire. Ring, 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 ring of fire. Anyway, beware folks in California. Because as I've been warning you all for a while, I feel like that warning is definitely in play now. Even though I've said in the past, I think it's going to be October, that you can expect something big. But we're in that energy shift starting tomorrow. And that's when big things happen, man. Big things happen. Yeah, man, they totally do. Anyway, 3.6 quake hit Ohio. Like, of all places, Ohio. Hey ho, I'm from Ohio. But yeah, so Ohio. I thought that was interesting. My friend Jeff sent me a link about that, a story about that, the 3.6. That's just odd. But here's what Spirit tells me. Lots of small activity, thankfully, is flaring up all throughout the United States and globally, but also around the East Coast of the United States. So therefore, my friends on the East Coast of the United States, even in New York, you're going to feel some shakers, especially northern New York, outside of Buffalo, maybe Buffalo itself. Spirit shows me that now. New England, the area of New England, which covers, of course, Massachusetts, all up in that area, several big earthquakes. Not big, but significant for them. I don't know what big for them is. It could be a 4.0. It could be big for them. Not that it's causing damage, but globally. Australia on the west side is going to start shaking up, along with parts of New Zealand as well, and that's what Spirit's just telling me. I'll have more in the way of predictions, of course, for September's predictions tomorrow. India and our friends in India. India launched a spaceship to the dark side of the moon. I'll see you on the dark side of the moon. I love me some Pink Floyd, baby. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Of course, like NASA, they're going to hide everything and not tell us. But at the same time, Spirit told me that this indirectly is going to cause problems for India. Of course, some people, especially China, is not very happy with their accomplishment. And, they want to know everything. They probably do know everything. They're probably tapped into it all. But again, that's kind of what Spirit says. Not to mention the weather events and earthquakes that are coming to the continent and to the folks in India as well, that are going to greatly impact India. The next big disaster, sort of like what hit Turkey, the two places that I would say that is likely going to happen is going to be in India. The other one in, well, we said China in the past, but that's not where I was going with that. Mexico. So, friends in Mexico, beware of the quake. So, in India, again, we know China's been pounded over and over again, right? I told you all about that last week. If you hear that little clicking, it's the dog walking on the wood floors. I know it can drive you crazy at times, especially when you're trying to concentrate. But like the one that hit Turkey again, I would see that happening more likely in India, Mexico, and China. Those three places are very vulnerable to massive quakes. So what's this? Oh, and I see a lot of tension, and I said this in the past in my predictions. In India, tons of tension building up, including tensions between India and China. Well, how about this? The India MP threatened surgical strike on China for annexing territory on the map. When's this article from? Somebody sent me this 6 hours ago. An Indian lawmaker has called for a surgical strike on China after Beijing released a new map suggesting ownership of the territory and also claimed New Delhi. New Delhi. The new standard map by Beijing's Ministry of Natural Resources includes territories of Pradesh and Kachin as a part of China, along with Taiwan. It also indicates Chinese sovereignty over the South China Sea, which is contested by a number of neighboring countries. Yeah, China and India dispute sovereignty over a number of regions along with their shared border. Big problems between India and China coming up. It's igniting, friends. It's igniting. This is where the Bible and all talk about the Great War. Well, the Bible doesn't say the Great War, but the natives talk about the Great War in the future. Some people call it, WW3. Whatever it is, it's a different kind. And as I told you before, we're already in it. And it seems like they're using weather as the new form of weather warfare, as a new form. Without a doubt, that's happening. You saw the videos earlier and what they already know how to do. Speaking of knowing how to do, SDS, sudden death syndrome. Usually found amongst kids. You hear people's babies passing from SDS very often. And a while back, I predicted that there would be mass die-offs on the planet, which will help the elite evildoers fulfill their depopulation agenda. But at the same time, I just had a brain freeze. Total brain fart. Total. SDS, that's what we were talking about. So I did say in the past that there would be a mass die-off, but not all necessarily at the same time. I felt like it was slowly, and it'll build up till the point that we can't help but to notice that this is happening. Well, we're getting to a point where people are noticing the SDS. I had one doctor tell me I lost 4 patients. It's so unbelievable. Suddenly, mostly all in their 60s. Kind of crazy, right? So the increase of SDS, sudden death syndrome, not just in babies. I had visions, wrong line. I'm going to tell you why this is happening. You know why this is happening, friends. But really the true picture, the spiritual picture. We have soul contracts. We have exit points. We have things we agreed to. Things that we don't always have to fulfill. We have exit points. Some of us have multiple. Some of us just have one. In your soul contract, you agreed to certain points where you could decide to exit for whatever reasons, whatever decisions and whatever free will led you to that point. You have an exit point. And sometimes we don't exit at our exit points. Sometimes we have multiple and we can get to each one. I believe it's part of our soul's journey through meditation and connecting with the divine and with spirit to figure out your exit points. I figured mine out and worked against making sure I didn't exit the first one, which is, I'm glad about that. Really glad I worked really hard to make sure that didn't happen. And we can do that, except if it's your last exit point. And a lot of people, whether they spiritually or their soul actually acknowledged and understood the whole scope of the picture here, as far as, 2020, what came after, you know where I'm going with this without even saying it. So things like that, remember your free will comes into play. So if your free will says, I'm going to go get that. Yeah, I think it makes me safe. I'm going to go get that. And then it ends up causing you to exit. Now, at the same time, I don't believe in coincidences, especially with our soul contracts. If you have an exit point, sometimes the universe has to trick us to make sure that we exit when we're supposed to. Sometimes there's a little universe deception going on to make sure that you go there. So the universe says, yeah, you need to go get this, even though you might not want to get it, but you're going to go get this because you have an exit point coming up in a year or 2 years, and that's going to help make sure that happens. It's just again, metaphoric example for you. It's a good example, says the spirits. It's a very good example, says the spirits. So that's what's happening. And it's not just SDS. We see the myocarditis that's happening amongst the young people and many other things that are happening. This is a part of so many different things that are so complex, so detailed. And again, everything with our soul's journey is so very, very complex. Don't even try to understand. What you got to do more than anything is just meditate, connect to the divine spirit through meditation, prayer, ceremony, and whatever works for you. And not to go into fear like, oh my God, why is this happening? Oh my God, why is it happening? It's happening because they signed up for it. As much as somebody might be indirectly and probably is indirectly responsible for some of these, it doesn't matter. It's still in their soul contract. Unfortunately. Fortunately, but unfortunately. Remember the visions I had of large explosions, and I talked about a lot of gas places on fire and burning. And right now we have in Louisiana, they're calling it the Marathon Oil Fire. The Marathon Oil Fire, and I forgot to bring up an article to read about it, but you can go look it up on your own if you'd like. But that's been burning for a while. Marathon is a gas company, in case anybody was wondering why it's called the Marathon Oil Fire. That's why. Also, in Romania, a fueling station in Romania just went boom, blew up completely, injuring dozens and taking out one so far in the last article I read. So is this an attack on the gas and oil industry? Kind of seems that way. For the green global push, the agenda behind that, it seems that way, don't it? The oil companies used to be, the powerhouses. Somebody came in and started taking their power away from them. It's quite interesting. And to say that we can't use gas at all in the next few years is just not realistic. Hey, I'm all about natural things for the earth, but some of these natural things aren't natural. Like the windmills. The windmills are killing eagles, bald-headed eagles, and all kinds of other flying creatures and birds. Off the coast of New Jersey, those windmills are killing the whales by the dozens. Unbelievable. If it's killing the whales, it's probably killing the dolphins too. And remember, they hide as much as they can from us to make sure that you don't know that's happening. So, there's money, friends. It's all about money. It's all about who can make money. And now the billionaires are going to become trillionaires by pushing their green agenda. They probably took all their money out of the oil companies and put them into something else. Probably bought gold because all the gold's gone, right? So, oh, rats. Oh, rats. That's my next topic, actually. Rats. But we are going to see more and more attacks. We've seen it on our food companies and our food industry. We continue to see it. Remember all the cattle that died last year suddenly in the heat? Remember they said this year was hotter than last year. We didn't hear about that happening this year, knock on wood. Not yet anyway. My camera's going to shake. Not yet anyway, right? But it was hotter this year than it was last year. Interesting, right? Well, we know that was all done on purpose, and it was all a very well orchestrated plan. And a literal red rum, spell red rum backwards. Remember the movie The Shining? One of my favorites. Love me some Jack Nicholson. So red rum, the poor cattle. How awful is that? Awful. Speaking of animals, rats. Oh, rats. Because let me tell you, we have rats in this neighborhood. Big, ugly rats. They're actually kind of cute. They're actually not ugly. But they're ugly when they're in your house. You don't want that crap in your house. They carry diseases, rodents, all kinds of stuff, right? Mice do get in the dungeon where I have a dungeon underneath me where I keep all the dragons and the little ones. Such in the dungeon. But on a serious note, I just had a brain freeze again. Oh, rats, rodents. They ate my car last year. The whole surround of my engine ate it completely, devoured it. They got in there again recently, but I keep the hood up at night now and spray it with some peppermint and a couple other different essential oils. But rats and rodents is what Spirit told me is going to become an environmental disaster. And I see environmental disasters in places that grow with disease. A lot of environmental disaster in places stuck with diseases and affecting their crops. That's where I was going with that. Affecting their crops in certain countries. Not only that, not just from rats and rodents, but from insect infestation, which we are seeing. Okay, I told you last week in China, they had bats crawling all over the streets and all over the trees and all in the daytime. And they are kind of like flying rats, basically. So that's already happening, but Spirit showed me. Monsanto's toxic bug killers only kill humans and no longer are killing insects. That's what Spirit said. And that's true, because my brother got the big C from that round stuff. The stuff, what I'm talking about, kills the weeds. Yeah. Fact. Totally was able to prove it and all, which is crazy. So remember my vision back in a while ago of armed troops in New York City? Spirit reminded me about that today. Armed troops in New York City, which means something's coming, friends. Something's coming to New York City. And let's hope it's not a modern repeat of the year 2001, because part of me felt that. But not like exactly like that, though. An attack. Remember I said there'd be an attack on Hawaii? There was, as far as we're concerned, right? An attack on Alaska. And I also said there would be an attack on New York City in the future. I said that a while ago, and I didn't think it was right away. And some of my predictions take 2 to 3 years to come into fruition. So I don't know when I said that about New York. It might have been about 2 or 3 years ago, actually. And I've been getting New York a lot lately, and it was only about a month or so ago that I saw the vision of armed troops and high security in New York City. So Spirit reminded me of that today. And part of what I think this may be related to, this is just hypothetically just trying to analyze, because if Spirit don't tell me, I can only analyze. A massive hurricane slams into New York City, causing massive floods, the Lincoln tunnels underwater. And of course, you got looters and a bunch of people that need to be thrown on an island and out of our country, running around on the streets like crazy people, stealing everything. That would make there be a martial law for New York City. And I don't know if they can do martial law just for one place, like New York City. But if they can do a martial law just for one place, they probably will do it in New York City in the future. I don't know when. But again, Spirit's reminding me, so it's somewhat approaching, maybe by the end of this year. Maybe this month during this energy shift of, well, not this month, September, when we step into September. Somebody left me a comment. Japan was photographing the night sky on August 11th and 12th of this year when they captured a new comet that now bears the name Comet C 2023 P1. I can't pronounce the name of it, but it is currently moving in front of the constellation of Gemini, the twins, low in the sky on the morning of September 11th. Got that? On the morning of September 11th. You can look up at the comet before dawn and see it. The first object you'll notice in the eastern sky is the crescent moon, followed by the brilliant Venus nearby. So September 11th comet. And I added that comet up, and if I remember correctly, with the letters and all in numerology, I think it ended up being a 9. Not that comet's going to be death and destruction like Apophis is going to be in the future, which I'm working on that video now, actually, to hopefully have it done by next week. The Hopi's Blue Kachina prophecy. It's a good one, friends. You're not going to want to miss it. And the date that I believe it's coming. I'm pretty convinced it's coming during that time period. And I hope I'm wrong. Boy, oh boy, do I hope I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. So keep an eye out for that video. A reminder to subscribe. But this comet coming by, comets come by all the time. It's not an uncommon thing. Happens all the time every year. Comets going into the sun all the time. So it's nothing new. But apparently they just discovered it. They want to let us know about it. And they want us to know to keep an eye in the sky on September 11th. Feels a little fishy to me. Because if it's up there now and it's in the constellation Gemini, why can't we see it now? Why don't they say, hey, if you go to your telescope, you can look at it through your telescope? No. They're saying on the morning of September 11th to look out in the comet. So I don't know if this is September 11th Japan time and date, because Japan's a day ahead of us. So it's August 29th here, so it's August 30th in Japan right now. So I'm not sure, but I thought that was interesting, and thank you for your comment. I do read all the comments. Italy bans fake meat. Go Italy Italiano. Haha, yes, good for them. And, there's going to be others that are going to follow in their path. So thank you, Italy, for being the inspiration of banning this garbage from our grocery stores. Well, yours anyway, for starters. But the scary thing is, part of the fake meat thing is that Spirit was showing me today that they're secretly planning already a way to pass it off as real meat by sneaking it in onto the grocery shelves. And, of course, injecting it first with things like, say, MR and the NA. You know what I'm talking about there, right? Totally. I also want to remind you of the past story that I covered here. I covered on a Tuesday, months ago, earlier this year, that they found cancer cells in fake meat, right? And then Bill Gates hurried up and tweeted, because he's got some of his money in there, right? Cancers found in fake meat are totally harmless to humans. Really? Yeah, really. Crazy, right? Speaking of Mr. G, Mr. G just launched the creepy Mark of the Beast, the beginning stages of the Mark of the Beast. I did a video called Mark of the Beast. If you didn't see that, it was over a year ago. It's a really good one. I think it's a really good one, and shows you everything about the Mark of the Beast and the prophecies. The new digital ID is called MOSIP, MOSIP. You can even go to the website. It's mosip.io. I've never seen the IO before. That's a new one. An open source platform which national foundational IDs are built. Creepy. Enabling robust digital identities across the globe. And they actually literally have a thing here showing you how many people got it already. They're at 93,132,815 people registered with the MOSIP-based system. That's creepy. So creepy to me. The MOSIP is a robust, scalable, and inclusive foundation identity platform. You can look at this on your own, friends. Maybe I'll do a future video on it later. But the modular open source identity platform, MOSIP, helps governments and other user organizations implement a digital foundational identity system in cost-effective ways. Nations can use MOSIP freely to build on their own identity systems, their own Mark of the Beast, basically. Being modular, its architecture, MOSIP provides flexibility to countries in how they implement and configure their systems and helps to vendor lock-in. So listen to that for a minute. Countries, how they can implement and configure their systems. Basically going in and saying, well, you had too much meat this week. You're not allowed to buy meat. You're not allowed to do this. And based on your social credit score, you're not allowed to go out all week. You can't go nowhere. You're not allowed to go anywhere. That's coming, friends. They're pushing it. And Mr. G himself, right out of the gates of hell, just implemented this baby. And that is the mark of the beast. It's the beginning stages of it. It's not the mark of the beast, but this is how they're leading to it. We can see it now, folks, clearly. In the Bible, it says, you will not be able to buy food or anything unless you receive the mark. That's exactly what they're doing. Digital system, and eventually some idiots already less than smart, I don't like to say idiots, but less than smart people, already put chips in their hands. Oh, well, it helps me unlock my door and open my door, yeah, and then you got that radiation in you, because wireless stuff transmits radiation, we know that. So that's what's going to happen. This just came to me. People are going to get these, and they're probably already happening. You're going to see people developing cancer in the areas where these chips are placed on their hands. They're going to develop cancer all around it and develop something not good. The bodies are going to reject it eventually. Yay! Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. Last thing on my list is Russia and Prigozhin. We knew that was coming. Remember, I told you there were going to be lots of people being taken out. I just said that. It's in my September predictions to give you a little key of what's happening there. We already seen, who do we just see get taken out? What country was that? I can't remember what country. I think it was last week we talked about it. Two of them, two coming leaders in that country. I can't remember what country it was. But it's happening, friends. It's happening. Keep an eye out. And if there's any leaders that you hold, in your heart, hold them very close to your heart so that no harm comes to them. These Mars influences coming in, all the energy, basically, coming in September, is going to make people angry. It's going to make people bitter. Not that they're not already, but it'll make it worse. It's angry, bitter people that end up taking people out. Just saying. So just something to keep an eye out, be mindful of. I'm going to keep it short today because I got tomorrow's September predictions, but also the global healing meditation, friends. Don't miss it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be powerful. Not only are you going to bring healing to your own body, mind, and spirit, you're going to participate with people all over the world and bringing healing to our Mother Earth. The more people we got there doing it live, the more powerful it is. But it doesn't matter when you can do it. I know people are in different places, different time zones, and so forth. Definitely do it as soon as you possibly can once the moon goes full, which is, again, tomorrow, 6:35 p.m. Pacific time, 9:35 p.m. Eastern time, wherever you may be on the globe. Anytime from tomorrow evening for the next 2 weeks after is the most powerful time to utilize that meditation. And again, you can use it anytime, doesn't matter. It's a powerful healing. But the full moon and the waning moon cycle is a powerful time for clearing. And we're in an energy shift on top of that starting tomorrow. The energy shift is also all about getting deep and lifting things away physically, energetically, emotionally. So we got all these influences. The Mercury retrograde is also about that. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for the premiere of the September predictions. But even more so to do the meditation because I'm going to be right there with you, of course, obviously, doing that meditation to myself from within sacred space in my temple. Right in time for full moon. I'm looking forward to it. Remember, 22 minutes after the hour is when we begin. I explain everything to you so that we are in meditation by the time the moon becomes full. Perfect timing, friends. Perfect timing. Remember, be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you because mean people stink. We know. Other than that, celebrate life, celebrate you. I'll see you in the future. I just saw that in my crystal ball. Till the next time, be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Because you are freaking awesome. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Spiritman JT signing off. Namaste. Much love.